Hi, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA. Today with Fergus the Future Jenkins from Universal Valetudo under Coach Hostile Carl Weber. How are you, bro?
Good, man. Just coming off my fight last week, so feeling good.
That's it, man. Last year and in 2021, you won the IMMAF world title, amateur world title, and then you just won the recent fight at XFC 56, New Zealand amateur middleweight champion, bro. You're doing pretty well this last few months, eh?
Yeah, mate. I've been working backwards at this point. Started with the world championship down to the national title. I don't know what's next. Maybe the Christchurch title, maybe my suburb.
It's
I'll
pretty
work
funny,
progressively backwards anyway.
yeah, bro. But the good thing is, I mean, you're over there fighting internationally. You have to clean up your own backyard too, eh? So you have to come back and claim that title now. Really legitimize the other
Yeah,
title. Yeah?
I had to show that I was the rightful representative for New Zealand because Jonas hadn't been able to go over and compete in Abu Dhabi, but he'd done really well at the Super Championships or whatever it was called in Bahrain. So yeah, I had to go and show that I was the number one guy in the country as well as the world. So that was a cool
That's true, man.
test, I guess.
So that was last weekend, May 20th, XFC 56, co-main event, New Zealand amateur middleweight title against Jonas Grace, bro. How did the fight feel to you, bro?
I feel like I listened really well to my corner's instructions and definitely followed the game plan that Carla had laid out for me over the training camp. So that was cool for me to follow that. But then I also feel like immediately after the fight I was a bit disappointed. Like I felt I could have done more in the fight to really put a stamp on it. But I can't be too disappointed when I listened to all my coach's instructions and followed that and dominated the fight from start to finish.
Yeah, that's it, man. It was a very dominant victory. Thanks for giving me a chance to have a look at it. I couldn't find it anyway, but yeah, got to have a good look at it. And obviously, first round was was a lot of stand up, bro. You were slipping under the punches, straight punches to the body, and then coming up over the top with overhands and hooks. You did that with ease, bro. You seem to be totally in control of the stand up, eh? Give or take one or two little hits.
I definitely my range was a bit off at points when he was hitting me with the front kicks. That was definitely the weapon that he did the most damage with. Yeah, so I probably should have made an adjustment a bit quicker to either step out a little or step in a little just to get out of that range. But besides the front kicks, yeah, everything that we drilled in terms of looping around his guard because we could see that he often held like quite a long guard rather than like keeping his hands back home protecting. So I knew that there'd be holes around with the overhands and with the hooks. And obviously with his long frame, the body is a big target. So yeah, all those shots made sense.
And speaking about that frame, but I was trying to look up his size. Like you're not small yourself. You're 6'2", right?
Ah,
And then the other he's a tall fellow, right? Like what is his height and length? Do you know?
I think he's 6'5". I'm not sure what the reach situation is because yeah, I'm used to being, if not the taller guy, pretty much the same height. I've never really can't really think of any fights where I've been the shorter guy in there. But I do have quite long arms as well for my height, so potentially reach wise, it could have been quite similar. But yeah, it did seem like well, he had a good probably 3 inches on me when we were
Yeah.
fighting.
Yeah, man. And preparing for someone like that, is there guys in your gym that had that sort of length, man, like that are so tall or so long, or they'd be a bit heavier probably if they
Not
were, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not in my weight class. Yeah, like the guys in my weight class are about my height, maybe a bit shorter. And then yeah, the heavyweights. Yeah, we got a few. We got a few guys who are like even taller, like 6'6", 6'7". But yeah, obviously way heavier.
And bro, in saying that, like about his height and that, did what from my perspective, would I be right in saying that, like in that first round, like you said, you took a little minute to get that timing on the distance on the stand up, but also in tight, I could see that when you got that body lock, you were sort of looking at you're looking to take him down, and just that length was you're off a little bit for that first part of that first round with the takedown, but then after that you got your measure on him, and then it wasn't as difficult after that. Would that be right in saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely yeah, like the certain once I got to his legs, it was much easier just because of his build. It was quite difficult taking him down in the clinch, where I feel like his leverage was to his advantage there. But my goal and I wasn't necessarily going in there just trying to like hit takedown after takedown because I sort of wanted to work my striking a bit more. And then also just holding him against the cage, like not always necessarily looking for a takedown, but just pinning him there. So I didn't really come out straight away looking to impose my wrestling. So I probably could have come out a lot quicker and looked to shoot on the legs, but I was wary that he's got a good choking game as well. So that was in the back of my mind, not to shoot straight into a guillotine or a DAS. So I did, yeah, I took my time. And then once I realized that by far the easiest path to victory was just going straight for the takedown, that's sort of how I approached the fight from that point.
And man, when you got on top of him, like your top pressure and everything was really strong, man. Like you didn't have a chance to get out. However, he did defend a lot, and you didn't get the chance to, sink in the submission straight away that you obviously were working for, man. Like, what can you say on his defense, bro?
His defense was sharp. Yeah, he was using a half butterfly, so from half guard where he just inserts one butterfly hook. So he sort of threw a curveball there. And yeah, he was very aware of my attempts to pass. So I was pretty content just controlling him because I suppose if you're the guy on bottom, the onus is on you to move because you're losing the fight. So I was waiting for him to make an error, but he was sort of just happy to just create some frames and like, I guess, prevent me from doing a lot of damage without necessarily taking many risks to get back up. So yeah, his defense was sharp there, and yeah, there's definitely a few technical adjustments I've already been thinking about for how I could have approached that better. But
Yeah.
It's all a learning experience anyway as an amateur. Like this, it's all about getting problems posed to you by your opponent and learning how to address them either in the fight or looking back and improving from what happened in the fight to make you a better fighter in the future.
That's true, man. I mean, first of all, that sort of length and frame, that's a new thing for you in there, like you mentioned, and then yeah, coming out with that. But he didn't do much. It was a dominant victory. He didn't really make any changes or make the necessary changes to kind of beat your game plan, right? Like it was just a replay over and over again of you doing well in the stand up and then getting him to the ground after you got his measure, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Once we realized that was the easiest path to victory, it was just why not keep doing that until he poses something different. And as you say, like the adjustments weren't there by him. I did think he was a tricky opponent. Like he as you say, like with his length and his style, like he posed a different challenge to anyone I'd ever faced before. But then once we worked that out during the fight, which was pretty much the game plan we had before, yeah, he wasn't able to, make any more adjustments from that point.
It's a weird thing, man, the whole amateur professional thing too, like the differences, because there's really not a lot of differences when you're competing this time. Like didn't have shin pads, you're fighting 3-minute rounds, but the gloves, are they any different to the professional gloves? What you're wearing just seems like very similar to me.
Yeah, they're 8-ounce gloves. I think.
8-ounce.
Yeah, they've got a bit of padding on them compared to the 4 ounces, but it's not. Yeah, you're right. It's not like boxing, amateur boxing, and professional boxing.
Yeah,
like there's the sports are a lot more. The two sports are a lot more similar, amateur and professional MMA. That is, but I think that's a good thing because the idea is to replicate. Give you experience that's relevant to professional MMA. I guess the biggest difference is the rounds, like 3-minute rounds.
And I'm saying that the rounds
is a bit of a change.
5 rounds, bro, and you did it quite easily. You seemed like a bit of a cardio machine, man. Like you didn't slow down. You kept going a similar sort of pace the whole time. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think my cardio is definitely one of my biggest strengths. But then at the same time, that was a fight where I was completely in control of the pace. So I was able to set it. It wasn't like he was imposing much on me. So it is harder once your opponent, when it's back and forth and your opponent's imposing their will on you as well. So that would be more of a test, I would say. But yeah, I was pretty happy with how my cardio held up, definitely in terms of being able to go there and dominate from start to finish.
Yeah, bro. So what's the plan next, bro? You obviously be looking towards that IMMAF again, as you mentioned, that you wanted to go through that sort
Yep.
of tournament format because you know it's a quick way of getting experience. Are you doing that next, or will that be or you be jumping back to defend your New Zealand title, or what's the plan for the year?
So yeah, that's the overarching plan. IMAF again at the end of the year, sort of October-ish, I think. And then, but next up, there's a Grand Prix in Brisbane.
Yep.
So that'll be the next for me. Yeah, Oceania title.
Okay. Sick, man. So have they worked on any opponents yet, or that's something in the works?
It's I think it's related to IMAF. It's a IMAF Grand Prix sort of thing. So it'll be a tournament. So two Australian representatives, me as the New Zealand representative for middleweight, and then uh, French Polynesia will have a representative as well. So that will make up a 4-person tournament, and then it will just be over 2 days, and the winner takes home the Oceania title.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So yeah, so this year's going to be pretty active then, right? You'll be getting a few of those fights in there, like you mentioned. Like it speeds it up, doesn't it? Rather than just sitting back and waiting for professional fights.
It's pretty crazy. Like going into this year, I never would have expected anything like this. But like considering that my first sort of 2 years as an amateur, I was getting like 1 to 3 fights a year sort of thing, and then just suddenly like an explosion this year. But I mean, it's been a massive blessing,
and
just to get so much experience in a short period of time.
You know, what do you expect? Like, if you're successful, how many fights could you potentially have for the rest of the year in those 2 tournaments?
7.
Wow, that's
yeah, up to 7.
Awesome.
Yeah, on top of 6 already. Yeah,
that's a great year. All right, bro. So
100%.
I've got another, just before we finish up, I've got 10 quick questions, man, for you. Just have a listen and give me some shortish answers. Don't have to be too in depth or anything. Just gonna ask you a couple of normal questions, a couple of weird questions, and then we'll be done.
Fire away.
All right. So first question, you know, MMA fighters like yourself, you've got a good idea of your body and training and everything. So first question, tips for training and motivation for your general person. You know, you guys are probably the most motivated people on the planet to get up every day and do what you do. So what are your tips for training and motivation for your general person?
I think it's about having a goal in mind. It's hard to work unless you have something that you're striving towards, and positive thinking, positive self-talk. Because if you don't feel like you're making progress and don't feel like you've got the ability to achieve what you want, then you won't have the motivation to actually put in the work, because you won't think that anything will come out of it. So, yep.
Cool. Number 2. Tips for like true health, because health isn't just about physicality. It can be about, you know, mental health. It can be about a lot of different things. So what are any tips for sort of overall general true health?
I'd say always having, again, a goal in mind, something to strive towards, so that you've got purpose, and living healthily, in terms of eating and sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed, man. That's the thing that like doctors, etc., don't really always talk about, right? Like diet and sleep and exercise are some of the keys for just overall health, I believe, but doesn't always get talked about by doctors.
Huge.
Right? Best street fight story. You got any street fight stories, bro?
Um, I've not been in a lot. One time at a local mall, like my street fighting, before I'd done any training, I would never punch anyone or anything. But the guy just, I don't know, somehow we were getting into it, and he
How'd
ended
that
up
happen, bro? In a
running
mall?
after me, and
Was it
I
in the
was
day or the nighttime?
this is outside the mall during the day, so I would have been like 11 years old or something. And I seen this kid running towards me, so I just turned and started running the other way. And so I decided, like, strategically, I was like, all right, I'll run in towards the mall where there'll be lots of people around, so he'll stop like trying to fight me. But that didn't stop him. So I stopped like in the entranceway of the mall. There were like 20 people around. He just started like throwing hands at me, and then he went for like a single leg on me, like looking back on it, because he went to grab my leg. And then I ended up scrambling and ended up on top of him, and I just like sat down. That was my go-to strategy. Just get to mount and then just sit on them until someone separates us. And then some like youth leader that I used to do youth group with came and separated, and he like saw me and was like, "What? What's Fergus doing in the middle of a fight?" So yeah, that was probably my wildest street brawl of my childhood.
Fair enough. That's funny, man. Hey, what would you say the best street fight technique is?
Oh, 3-piece and a soda.
Yeah, beast and a soda. Fair enough.
Got to be.
That's it. If you could only choose one martial art, which would it be? If you had to
Wrestling.
take one. Sorry, say again.
Wrestling. That's something I wish was in New Zealand, in the school system in New Zealand, because that's 100% something I'd be doing. But unfortunately, it's not. But yeah, obviously in the States, Russia, it's huge. But yeah, New Zealand, it's not really a thing.
Yeah, man. Same in Australia. It's a very minority sort of sport. It's unfortunate. I love my kids to do wrestling too, but at the moment, BJJ is the only thing available. What's the true value of learning martial arts or MMA?
I would say discipline. Like the biggest thing for me, like before I started doing any martial arts, I was the laziest kid ever, just video games, eating junk food. And then once I started training, that's when everything started clicking, and I actually started, it took a while, but like started getting disciplined with my schoolwork, actually started getting good grades at school. So like it's true, all those like people talking about how it teaches discipline and everything and perseverance, because all that stuff definitely, I definitely had all those effects after I begun training martial arts. That's when everything else in my life started coming together. Besides that, I would just, the other thing I love about the martial arts lifestyle is just it encourages you to live in a healthy, in a positive way. Like it's reflected in the food that I eat, trying to get a good night's sleep, trying to do all those basic health things. And it gives me that motivation to do those things because I know how it's going to help my training.
Yeah, bro, that's true. Just a few silly questions to finish. Someone gives you an elephant, you can't sell it or give it away. What do you do with it?
Probably go to war with it. I do some like how the Indians would use the elephants in war. That's what springs to mind.
Yeah, bro. I was thinking you might be wrestling it.
I'd walk it out to one of my fights.
That'd be pretty sick, actually. At the big stadium, though. Next, compare yourself to an animal. What would it be and why?
Oh, my favorite animal is a fox, so I'd like to go with that. Maybe just like the wit. You know, foxes are meant to be smart, so I reckon that's reflected in my fight style.
Cool. The first thing that comes to mind was, what does the fox say? But it's a stupid thing. Describe the purpose of MMA to someone from another planet.
Simulated deathmatch.
That's fair, bro. That's fair. Last question, bro. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized Francis Ngannous or 1 10-foot tall size Francis Ngannou?
One 10-foot tall Francis. I don't think there's any way to beat the duck-sized Francis Ngannou. There's 100 of them. I feel like maybe I could do some David versus Goliath shit and I don't know, find a way to like trip up 10-foot tall Francis Ngannou, but there's no way I'm being 100.
That's funny, bro. I've asked quite a few people. I'm going to make this a compilation eventually when I get enough people answering these questions. There's only been 2 or 3 people who said Francis 100 duck size will be too many, so they've gone for the one. Blood Diamond was one of the guys, said he would just take the 10-foot tall one. He said, let's just go straight to the point, man. You're going to die either way, but yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
Right.
Why delay the inevitable?
That's it, man. All right, bro. Thanks for your time, and congratulations on the new amateur New Zealand middleweight title, bro. And looking forward to seeing your success for the rest of the year, bro. And thanks for your time.